Ready to go?
1 o'clock now.
1 o'clock. I hear the bell. It's the bell. Kia ora, Hana. Welcome. Karakia Timatanga.
We waiting for football, don't we all?
Yes, yeah, I got them.
We are.
Mai te wai maunga, rara ki te whai. Mai te awa tonga, rara ki te whai. Te hapuri, hapi ai e tarata. Hapi mea, hapi stoki, wai e tāwiki. Apologies, do we have any? I don't think there are any present and accounted for. Great. Conflicts of interest declaration? None. Public forum? There is none.
Youth Council.
Youth Council? Any comments? Yeah. Straight to item 7.1, minutes of the ordinary council meeting. I take it that they have been read. Someone like to move the true and accurate record? Councillor Lawrence, thank you. Councillor Della, seconding. All in favour?
Right.
Against? Any abstentions? Motion is carried. 7.2, minutes of the Policy and Project Committee meeting held on the 10th of September. Someone like to move? Deputy Mayor, seconded. Seconder.
Oh.
Councillor Della, thank you. All in favour? Against? Abstentions? Motion is carried. 7.3, minutes of the ordinary council meeting on 10th September. Summer, take as read. Thank you, Councillor Cherry-Campbell, to move, seconded. Councillor Ayling, thank you. All in favour? Against? Abstentions? Motion is carried. Thank you. Straight thing into 8.1, Carterton Community Courthouse, trust proposal for courthouse.
With your permission, may I invite Erin to come and join us? And I wonder
Absolutely.
if we would
Absolutely.
chair or yep. Join Erin
One or
or all. Yes. Okay.
And before we go, I do want to acknowledge former very senior and long-serving councillor, as a member of the delegation from Carterton. It's good to see you here. And go back on. I remember this discussion a long time ago, and it's back.
We should do it. I think it might be Barbara's birthday.
How did that get out, Barbara? You normally keep these things secret. All right, look, happy birthday. And we can sing a happy birthday later on.
Everyone,
Please, g'day.
Wonderful.
Want to talk?
Yeah, tēnā koutou. I think we can take the report as read, so of course happy to answer any questions about it. I really just wanted to take this opportunity to acknowledge particularly these three amazing people, Joseph Gillard, Barbara Durbin and Angela Reynolds, for their incredible efforts in looking after the courthouse for such a long time, obviously along with other trustees throughout that time as well, but you guys are the stalwarts who've really seen it through. And I just wanted to let council know just what a vital asset it is to the community. I'll give you just a couple of numbers just from the last financial year. So the courthouse is by far our most utilised space within the event centre building. There is a booking in the courthouse 83% of the days of the year. So in the last financial year, that was 296 days that had a booking. That's 1,238 hours of amazing groups like the Wairarapa Herb Society, groups like Innate Postpartum Care who support new mothers. We've had card groups in there. We have yoga sessions, workshops. It's an incredible array of community events, and full credit to this team for everything they did to preserve that building and to maintain that beautiful space. And I think that's something that people say about it a lot. What a beautiful space it is, how warm it feels, how welcoming. And I think that's a really special thing, to have that heritage within a complex which is a predominantly new building. So it's a really special thing, and I just wanted to thank you all and thank you for trusting us with the administration of that in my time here as well.
thank you, Erin.
I might say thank you very much to the council of the time for entrusting us and entering into an MOU to probably go down a path which you'd never been down before, Mayor Ron, because you were the instigator of it. And bit of a kick from Barbara over here to get things going.
Yeah.
We were volunteered by Barbara. She's very good at volunteering people. And really went off really well. It took a long time. It took about 2.5 years, I think. But the outcome has been wonderful. But what's interesting is that it was very much of the community, for the community. And really, the way I see it, or we see it, is it's now an enduring asset for the community to use. Councillor Steve over there with Why Word, they were the first users of it and still use the premises now. It's wonderful to have that continuity. But it's great to see it used so much by groups of people who I've never heard of before. No, it's fantastic. It's been a wonderful exercise. We tried to make it true to its history. Both Andrew and I had, I and Barbara too, connections with the building. My great-grandfather was on the wrong side of the bench there a few times for being drunk and other things. And that made it special. Angela's great-grandfather built the chimneys for it when it was founded. So it had a personal connection right from the start, and it was great to kind of honour that in a way. And we still honour that in our hearts, but now it's time to pass it back to the community. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to take the papers have been well read by everybody, because I know there's a high degree of support for everything that's happening there. So the floor is open for any questions you might have or any comments you might wish to make. Or again, Councillor Newman.
I think it's a great facility and it's awesome and it makes sense that council take it on. I just wondered why there isn't a bit more of a business case in there for this. You've pulled out some really interesting facts on its usage and all of that, but I would have really loved to seen the costs of taking it on, how much it brings in, the revenue. Because I don't disagree, it's an amazing facility and I do think it makes sense to have it, but I just would like to see a bit more information around it as well, because it is a call and it could be at a cost to our ratepayers. It's more of a comment than a question, I suppose.
Yeah,
Yeah, go. Yeah, if you can make a question out of that.
yeah, sure. So currently the way it is that I think you would have seen in the report, so all of the higher fees from the courthouse come to us initially and all the maintenance costs and everything comes out of that. And then anything that's left over gets paid out to the courthouse. I think from the last 3 quarters out of 4, they made a profit from that. So it's in terms of it being kind of a burden or a cost burden, I don't foresee there being any major issue there. And there's no issues that we've flagged. We just create part of that asset management work that we were speaking about earlier as well has also incorporated the courthouse, just so we can have some nice planned maintenance schedules moving forward and get sort of a good sense of when we've got end of life of those larger ticket items, things like roofing and stuff like that. So we'll be able to forecast that, I think, quite accurately now, which will be really helpful as well.
It's good to hear that the information's there.
Yeah.
I would encourage the next council, whoever it is, to be pressing for the information to be presented to us in business cases for decisions like this.
It's pretty much cost neutral in the longer term, which is always was its aim.
Yeah.
I think the tariffs of charge are probably conservative, but that's good. I mean, that's what it was all about. It was never intended from the trust point of view to be a cost centre per se.
On the fees and charges that are included with this report are actually a slight increase on what they are currently. And that's largely to cover things like rising insurance premium is the biggest expense for the courthouse at the moment.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I
so
might
that
say,
goes some ways to covering that.
yeah, even as part of the construction program, there was no capital from council barring, I think, $6,000 put into it. So there was not even any capital contribution apart from that. We even paid for the building consent.
That's a bit rough.
I wish we could make too much of that, but
It's all tough. All right, any other questions, comments? Yeah, well, what are you thinking? Because you might think of something. I just want to sort of rotary hoe a bit of old paddock. It's, I think what I guess gives me a degree of satisfaction is that when the original design of this building was put together, it was a more complete plan than currently exists. And we had two heritage buildings of significance, bookending what was to be a contemporary community centre, a contemporary building which would provide as a community centre an auditorium for entertainment and the arts. And Barbara, you were at the table making those discussions before I became the mayor. I just came in with the hammer to nail down the roof and put in foundations and that sort of thing. But you and I both sat on the committee with Gary McPhee and John Greenwood back then, charged with raising the money out of the community. And we sold a picture of an entire complex, which was bookended by the courthouse and the library. And sadly, due to costs and a very vicious campaign to stop the whole thing, council pulled back on the courthouse. And that was always a little bit of a disappointment to some of us, Sabre. And so what has happened since then has happened. We did try one more time, didn't we? To put up a capex, put up a proposal which would require a bit of capex to bring the courthouse in. That was based on the success and the way the event centre was going. Bring the courthouse in as a secondary project, but also to develop in there to expand it, provide more office space, provide a cafe, and a through walk straight through that glass wall straight into the courthouse. And politics being politics and money being money, that failed as well. And so then you picked up. Your trust picked up and the community got in behind, and we are where we are today. So in a funny sort of way, I see this as closure on what the original proposal was, and vindication that the original proposal was correct. And the work that Gary McPhee, yourself, Barb, and all those other councillors, Brian Paulson, I'm trying to think, Grant Smith, Ruth Carter, keep going, I'll think of all those, but Bill Knowles, who campaigned against it and then admitted he was wrong. It's quite a lovely feeling, actually, to be sitting here at this point in time with all that history behind and to see this proposal on the table. So I'm hopeful that the council will see it. I do admire you, Lou. That is a perfect question and a perfectly appropriate question. What is the business case? What is the state of the asset? What does the asset management plan look like? And what are the numbers going to look like when you finally start crunching them down? Because it is a building that is a wooden building and it will require further work going down the line. So well done you, Lou. Good question. And I think that you're quite right. I hope the future council, if we make a positive, if the decision here is a positive, is in favour, I won't prejudge. If it is, then it would be up to the new council to make sure that an asset management plan and some good numbers are put around that to make sure that this continues. So from my side, I support you, and I am very pleased to see this proposal here before I leave, because it's finally closing that book, Barb. Finally closing that book. And it wouldn't have been possible if you hadn't have picked it up. Would not have been possible if you hadn't have stepped in and did what you did, because there wasn't the political will to do it back at the time. But there you go. You live long enough, you see change.
the worst thing I could see was that it'd be about 3 car parks there.
Yeah.
And the building languishing somewhere on a 10-acre block and being used to store fertiliser.
Yeah. Sure. And I guess the questions I had, and I just wanted to see for a bit of clarification, because back in those days, we did have the little tricky note issue of the lease, which the lease was owned by St. John's and the building was owned by council. And the lease was a 90-year lease. And I'm led to believe that lease doesn't exist anymore. It's
On the Courthouse building.
it's really
The asset is owned by council. It's depreciated and funded as part of our.
Yeah. But the lease no longer exists. It was relinquished, was it?
I don't know if it ever existed.
Oh, it did. I saw it, and I can assure you that as a Maori, I was quite impressed because we should hear all these things about conflicts of interest and everything. And on one side of the lease was the signature of the mayor.
Oh, yes.
And on the other side of the lease was the signature of the head of St. John's, and it was the same signature and the same name.
Quite intriguing, that.
Yeah, it was very intriguing. And it was a 90-year lease at a peppercorn rate. And I thought, don't tell me the Old Boys Club didn't exist. It certainly
It was
did.
different then.
It was different now too.
Maybe
Yeah.
that's why it's disappeared.
Maybe that's right. But anyway, are there any on the back of my little comment? Yes.
Just a comment I'd like to make about the courthouse, the fact that it is separate, that it means that people like my word can rent it for a couple of hours, involves no council staff. All you've got to know is the code, and makes a significant difference to hireage costs if there are no staff costs. So the fact that it's an individual piece of property is one of its best features.
Good. Well, has anyone thought of a question since? No? All right then. Let's move straight to the recommendation. Oh, yes, Barbara, please.
I'd just like to thank council for entrusting us with the job of completing the event centre, not quite in the way we initially thought, in a slightly different manner. But it's been fun. Joseph and Andrew we could not have done without. They have been absolutely stunning. What wonderful import to the community.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think we enjoyed most of it, didn't we?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
There were moments,
Yeah.
but thank you for entrusting us.
Right. So let's move then. So we have recommendations. We received the report, and then there are recommendations 2, 3, 4, 5. So could I have someone please move? We received the report first. Councillor Gallen, seconded by Councillor Newman. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Abstentions? The motion is carried unanimously. Recommendation 2, that we agree to accept responsibility and management for the Carterton Community Courthouse and its operations. So I'll take that on its own, just to be clear. Could I have a move? I'm going to move that. Can I have a seconder? Councillor Dello. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Any abstentions? The motion is carried. Can I take 3, 4 and 5 as one? Is there any objection?
The question is, Worship, on 3.
Mhm.
Does that need to have a wording to be reviewed annually?
It will come up as part of the annual plan, so it'll be in our fees and charges.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Any objection? 3, 4 and 5. Someone to move. Deputy Mayor has moved. Seconder, Councillor Cherry-Campbell. All in favour? Against? Any abstentions? The motions are carried. Congratulations.
You? Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Ron.
Finally. How many years did it take?
12.
12 years. Good things take time. They say, so is the advertisement. Thank you, team. Thank you, folks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
8.2, Chief.
Kia ora. 8.2 is my mistake. The community services team were first out of the blocks in terms of budget carry forwards, and I, for some reason, mucking around with spreadsheets, managed to completely overwrite all of their suggestions. So you would have noticed the library workroom has since been completed following the end of the fiscal year. So that's project and room refurbs in Carrington Park. I didn't think we should drop that, given that we are committing significant expenditure towards Carrington Park. So my mistake. I do apologise. This should have come up with the last council report, but an additional 383,000 worth of budget carry forwards that we would like to add to this year's plan.
Any questions? Yes, Deputy Mayor.
Happy to move.
Oh, happy to move. I'm looking at Councillor Lawrence.
I'd love to second that.
All right, then. There'll be no questions. I have a mover, the Deputy Mayor, and I have a seconder, Councillor Lawrence. Is there any discussion? All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Abstentions? Motion is carried unanimously. Thank you, team. 8.3, approval of the CDC speed management plan. We can all go faster. No. And we don't have Johannes here. Is he going to just take it through?
So the speed management plan, what I can say, because I've talked through with Johannes, the recommendations from the draft consultation of our speed management plan, we've taken feedback from the community and actually pulled back on some of the recommendations. There were some very key recommendations around Perry's Road, which were slightly mixed up in the consultation. Should have been 50 kilometres. It was referred to as 80. And there are some other areas in terms of the extension of the 50 kilometre an hour road through Morton Road and going beyond Rutland. Then there are some complete areas where we've suggested there be no change whatsoever, despite the fact that we've suggested the change as part of the consultation. And that is particularly through Courthouse on the back road through to Martinborough, and some of the other side roads where they are feeder roads. We've suggested that they remain as they are. Whereas the remainder of the changes that we're proposing, potentially suggestion around Park Road, reducing to 80 kilometres an hour again. Now, the reason for that was just the width of Park Road. And also, I don't know, for those who have been around quite a while, it's not exactly the most level of roads, and it was actually built on a swamp using trees. So they laid all the trees down and then put the road over the top, which is why it's a little bit uneven. So the feedback from Johannes and the team was actually the width of the road and the unevenness of that road do not really lend themselves to 100 kilometres an hour. So they've suggested dropping that to 80 kilometres an hour up to Carter's line. So there are some other changes, but in general, the feedback from the submissions was there was quite a lot of mixed views, and so we felt that considering all of those, doing less was probably the feedback from the community more than attempting to do more. There are still some roads, Hope Road, for example, where we've had community feedback where they want to reduce the speeds further, and where we have had those community feedbacks that are quite specific, quite targeted, we've taken those into account. Some other roads, for example, Te Whiti Road, where we've only had a couple of submissions on changing the speed limit, but we haven't had an overwhelming support from the entire community. We're suggesting that perhaps we hold fire on changing speeds on those roads for now, and maybe wish to undertake targeted speed reductions for those areas in a later stage. The other thing that I'd like to highlight is perhaps we may need to add a recommendation or a note at the end of the recommendations that council are deliberating on the submissions that you have received and the oral submissions that you've heard as part of hearing. I'm happy to take questions and
Floor's open. Councillor Della.
Yeah, thank you. Jeff, just looking at the Rutland Road cluster 1.3, Morton Road, between 150 northwest of Rutland Road, 150 metres northwest and 50 metres southeast of Rutland Road, changed to 50k. The 50k sign on the southeast side of Rutland Road, which is just about outside my place, is a lot further than 50 metres. So I didn't measure it, but I think it's more like 150. Is that a typo in the sense that if you're going to go down to 50 metres from that corner, it doesn't give you much time to reduce from 100 to 50, and you're right on the crossroad.
You are correct. It is about 150 metres beyond Rutland Road at the moment. It's the 50 km/h sign, and we have considered that, and we think because we're dropping the proposal is to drop the speed on Rutland Road to 80, that it is appropriate to bring that 50 km/h and slightly, the 100 km/h and slightly closer, so we bring it 100 metres closer to Rutland. It is intentional and it's not a typo.
Yeah, but you're not dropping the speed on Morton Road.
The speed on Morton Road will remain 50 from town to about 50 metres or to 50 metres beyond Rutland Road. And then after that, it'll be 100 metres from that to Carter's Line.
100 kilometres.
100 km/h to Carter's Line. So it'll be a longer stretch of 100 km/h road than it is at the moment.
But excuse me, but coming into town, you're doing 100.
There'll be less buffer zone.
Yeah, and you're within 50 metres of that crossroads, whack, you're down to 50, so it doesn't give time.
You are correct, but it's also coming from that direction, there is quite a large sight line. There's not a lot of trees or vegetation in the way, so you can see Rutland Road both ways. So there should be sufficient time.
I understand that, but it hasn't stopped the accidents so far there. No. So I was just wondering whether we shouldn't be looking at that at 150 there from Morton Road coming into town. That was the only thing that
That would actually slow.
it has slowed the traffic.
Across
Across the intersection.
rather than people trying to go from 100 to 50.
Yeah.
That would be a recommendation to leave the signage where it is.
Yeah. Yeah. And probably the same, i.e., I mean, you could even argue that Park Road's the same, 50 metres from the southeast of Rutland Road. Perhaps that could,
Although they're saying that Park Road's going to be changed to 80.
Correct.
So 80 to 50.
Yeah.
I can't see that as being a significant issue if council wishes to make that change.
It'd make sense to me to keep that at 150 metres southeast of Rutland Road.
More often than anybody else.
Oh, yeah, I live with it.
Is it a side of lots of crashes?
Rutland Road is.
Rutland Road, Morton Road corner has been a lot of serious accidents there.
Isn't that where you
People not obeying road rules.
Are you moving that amendment, Councillor Dillon?
I'll move in that direction if that's.
Do you have a seconder?
Yeah, I'm happy to second that. Makes sense.
Please note that. Are we clear on the wording there, Jeff? Are you clear on the wording? We'll put that amendment when we get to the motions. Are there any other discussion? Well, then I will hear that resolution now. All in favour of that amendment?
Aye.
Against? Abstentions? The amendment is carried. So, any other questions, commentaries? Yes, Deputy Mayor.
Jeff, I've just got a question around the variable speed area. I've had some discussions with businesses and residents just around Hurunui and Gladstone. And their concerns I don't know what's proposed for signage. Is it proposed to put electronic signage?
No.
So the questioning from the trucking firms and so forth is just a single sign with some timings on it and the impact that it could have on these businesses having to drop down to 30 from 80 and carrying that in, and they could be 10 minutes out and it impacts them significantly with the court case and so forth. And I'm just wondering whether, and I don't know the costs involved, but some of these businesses suggested they're prepared to put some money up to actually put electronic signage up.
Okay.
So that it's specific when it's actually the variable speed is.
Okay.
And I'm just wondering if that's something that can be considered.
Absolutely. The reason for going for fixed signage is cost.
Yeah.
That's the main reason. It's electronic variable signage is a lot more expensive. So if there were businesses prepared to help, we would absolutely consider that.
Okay.
It won't change our adoption of the variable speed limits, but it will change how we introduce and how we signpost those. Would love to have that conversation.
Follow-up question to that. That's not going to change the time that variable speed limit's in place, though.
No.
So they're still going to have to slow down for that same period of time.
Absolutely.
So what?
It's just if they're approaching that area, to me, a fixed sign, you pay a lot more attention to an electronic sign than you do to a fixed sign.
Okay.
So who would be responsible for the maintenance on the electronic sign then?
We would be.
Yeah.
Be a road sign.
And if it got damaged and like signs often do, then the cost for that could be.
I guess these are part of the discussions that you'd have with those businesses.
Mm.
I can't remember offhand the amount of trips that they were talking about per day past both those two areas. And they just said it's extremely significant. And you might say they might get used to it or whatever, but sometimes that can be a...
Is that not like, I'm just playing devil's advocate here, because I think electronic signs are great because they do get their attention, but as devil's advocate on the cost of putting in a static sign, as anybody that holds a driving licence, you need to pay attention to speed limits regardless. And if they are employing if it's a trucking company that's employing drivers, then that ought to be part of their induction process. They're talking to the drivers that they need to be conscious of all speed limits during those times. And if they get booked for speeding through it, then actually that falls back down to driver awareness, not down to council to have electronic signs. I'm just playing devil's advocate, and costs going forward to council.
So are they concerned about the potential tickets if the drivers not do this?
It's more, as soon as you're 40 Ks, you're instant loss of licence.
Mm.
So it's quite a dramatic impact. It's not like we're going from 70K or 50K down to 30, like in town and parts.
100 kilometre an hour zone.
Yeah.
So it's a significant drop. That's all I'm saying. There's a number of other areas outside our district which have the electronic signage, and from what I'm aware, they work very, very well. So to me, it's a discussion to have going forward with these businesses if they're prepared to put funds up.
Yeah.
So, just a question, Steve, do you envisage that if there's an event or a tangi or something on at the marae, that sign can be changed for that duration of that event?
Exactly.
So, yeah.
It could.
Yeah, and it could be.
Exactly that. I mean, whether you do that with the Gladstone School one, I don't know, but I mean, they have their festival and so forth, so I guess it could have the same principle. It's on for longer because the festival's on for the whole day.
Part of their thing festival, they have to have road management and special event notices out, which kind of comes outside of that.
I know that wealthier councils use those signs outside schools right throughout, and I'm thinking metropolitan councils in particular, and they flick on the one speed outside school hour pickup hours, and during school pickup hours they change immediately. And
Australia.
we were tired if you get caught, but they're wealthy councils. And they've got a lot of schools, in Christchurch in particular.
They can be very text heavy, those signs. And also if you're not a parent who doesn't know when the school holidays are or that kind of thing,
That's-
like you have to have this insider information to know if it applies or not. So it can be tricky.
It is a discussion. Yes, Councillor Hayden.
So I want sort of following on from this, where it's talking about the next steps. One of them is council considers funding the implementation of the speed management plan. I could be forgetting, but I don't remember discussing how much it's going to cost to implement the plan, change signs, etc. Do we have a high level figure?
Not off the top of my head. No, I don't. And I think,
He did have the numbers.
not off the top of my head. I am really aware that we are doing less than what we had proposed in the original consultation. And so whatever was that cost will be less. But we are reducing speeds, particularly on those through roads, Courthouse, all the way through to the joining up with South Wairarapa, etc., Ponatahi, will have a less impact. We will continue on with the speed changes around schools, but that's the reason we're going with fixed signage, because of the cost of implementation on variable speed signage.
Yeah.
I don't have that in my head. I apologise.
In the original proposal, I seem to recall there was a phased implementation.
It is.
Budgetary wise.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. So as we renew roads, as we do work, as we replace signage, we'll replace it with new signage.
Well, Manning's Road, if it was in there, you're replacing it almost every week. Down again.
I have a recollection that Johanna said he brought some of the signs.
Yes, you did.
He's got a sheet full of stuff waiting.
After the last time we did this, yes.
It was already on track. Well, it might be useful to the next council to get an update on the costs and where it's sitting, implementation plan. How it's tracking. Are there any other questions? We have one amendment, so I'll adjust the wording accordingly. Could I have someone please move we receive the report? Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Ayling. All in favour? Against? Abstentions? The motion is carried. Notes the speed management plan consultation findings were tabled in the hearing 11th September, along with the information the submissions received. Are we adding to that note?
I think if you had another recommendation afterwards, a note you've considered and deliberated on the submissions made, both written and oral.
Shall I do that as a 2A or should I do this? We'll do it as 2A. Okay, note the council has deliberated on submission. Okay, we'll do that secondly. So recommendation 2, someone to move, please. Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Gallen. Thank you. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Abstentions? The motion is carried. Let's create recommendation 2A, and the wording, Jeff, is that council note that council have deliberated on the submissions received as a committee.
Heard. Received and heard.
Received and heard
as part of
as a committee
process.
Okay, you give Katrina the words.
Right, so council has considered and deliberated on the submissions received and heard as part of the consultation process and the hearings held on the 11th of September 2025.
Got that. Moved by Councillor Lawrence, seconded by Councillor Della. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Any abstentions? The motion is carried. Endorses the proposed amendments to the drafts, proposed amendments, plus this
change to Morton.
The change
1.3 Morton Road.
Yes, plus the change to 1.3 Morton Road, as amended again to the draft speed management plan. Moved by, I'm going to say Councillor Della because it's his amendment. Seconded by Deputy Mayor. All in favour? Against? Any abstentions? Motion is carried. And I'll take 4 and 5 as one, if that's okay. Someone to move, please. Councillor Cherry-Campbell, seconded by Councillor Ayling. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Any abstentions? The motion is carried. Thank you, Chief.
Well done.
Done deal.
Thank you, team. I know it's a tough thing to do twice. So I am very grateful for your patience, and I am very pleased that we were able to encourage us to get this done before the end of this triennium. Thankfully, Insight means that we're able to get it done with him still here and do the work. So I'm grateful to all of you. Thank you.
Can you pass on my thanks or our thanks to Johannes for the way that he's gone through the submissions and had the foresight to make some changes just because of the quantity of submissions that were pushing back in certain areas. So I think it's great.
I will do. Thank you. Thank you all.
Okay, yes.
Just going back to number 4, it says about gravel roads down to 8K, but there are a couple of exceptions.
There are specific gravel roads. I was going to make that amendment, but you are absolutely correct. Where there are specific roads that have a lower targeted speed, they will remain at that lower targeted speed. Generally speaking, all of the other gravel roads.
Very good decision. All right. So before or after, I think.
No, I
should do it now, eh?
want
I think we should do it
now.
now.
So
Can I just take a pause first, because I just need to go and get something before I do that.
Sure.
Okay. So, any bowls?
Bulbs. Bulbs.
yeah, I think so. Please. Asking nicely.
There's a bulb.
Right. So, Councillor Cherry-Campbell. The CE and the staff have done a great job and organising something for you. And now that I am aware of that, there is a little something that comes with this ceremony. And if I can just pull that up, then I will be prepared. Cool. I'm now prepared. I'm going to give, this is totally impromptu. So there is a need for the CE to speak on behalf of staff, and there's a need for me to speak on behalf of council. But you as a retiring councillor deserve recognition for your service. And I'll give the opening comments to the CE first.
We gave you the opportunity to do a valedictory speech last time, and you might get the opportunity again, but we just wanted to say humble thanks for the time you spent with council, the time you spent with staff, and the support you've given us all throughout the community. That's been very, very gratefully received, and we are so pleased to have you as part of our team for the last at least 2 trainees. It's 2. And we wish you all the very best, whatever path you choose from here on in. But we wanted to take the time to acknowledge you. So well done.
Thank you. And Robin, I think I know what this is. So I'm going to ask you to open it, but not touch it, because I need to bless it before I hand it to you, and as is appropriate. So if you could just come and join us here, please. You can have. He gets the flag. He gets the flag. Just hold it open for me. Thank you.
This guy.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so look, the significance and the importance of greenstone being given, I don't know how much of you've ever been told. I don't know how many of you actually wear a Pounamu. I do. I always have. And it's normal that they are gifted to you. You don't go and buy your own. They are gifted. And in brief, without going on too long, there's a whole story around this particular ceremony. And it is recognising the tapu of greenstone or Pounamu, understanding that Pounamu is considered a treasure, a tonga, and that the gifting of it symbolises the connecting of you, the receiver, to those who are giving it, and helps to remind you on a day-to-day basis that connectivity to people who have worked with you, served with you, know you, love you. And it is also a way of, call it superstition or whatever, but Māori have a view of joining whakapapa from the receiver, from the giver to the receiver, that is unbreakable. It's also a way of ensuring that the tipuna from the past across the void and your tipuna are protecting and guiding you, and doing so through here. There is a little blessing that goes with this, and there's a number, but the one I use is this one here. And I'll give you the English translation. And the water is a cleansing process, which we do, to remove all of those things that may have become connected to it that are not necessarily healthy. So the person who pulled the greenstone from the earth, from Papatūānuku, the people who transported it, the people who then took it and crafted it and moulded it and produced it, all of them put into that their own form of wairua. And what we want to do is give it to you clean. So it just comes from us, no one else. Whakariri, tēnei tonga o hohu. Tēnei tonga pui aki. Tēnei tonga kukuiho. Nā ranganui e tu aki ana. Nā Papatūānuku e tā kokto tono nei. Whakakiki uatau. Which means bless this treasure of great value. This treasure, precious treasure, this treasure handed down from Ranganui, ever standing, from Papatūānuku, still lying there. Let it be said, this is settled. And Robin, this is now yours. I
said my speech the other week, so I'm not going to rehash that, but we'd just like to say thank you from the bottom of my heart to all the staff at Carterton District Council. Jeff, thank you very, very much for your leadership of the staff, and just thank you. Thank you.
Robin's lost the words.
It always takes a bit.
Well done.
Sometimes less is more.
Thank you, everybody. And Karakia whakamuta. Kia whakaria, kia wātia, aitia, kia tūruki whakatāne, kia tūruki whakatāne. Kia ora. Thank you all very much, Jeff.
Oh, thank you.
It's a beautiful stone.
To buy another one.
The last time Johannes wasn't here, we had